Before I forget, 16 years ago, we hiked up here, myself and a lot of people in the media, and we came to the spot of where the encounter happened. And we heard whoa, whoa, whoa up there, and all of a sudden we heard crack crunch running down, and then all of a sudden this deer ran all the way down to the path and then walked right next to us, about 15 people here, and hung out with us for about 15 minutes before it walked away. And what was interesting is we had a wild deer hanging out with us on the trail because it thought it was safer here than it was staying up there with whatever it was that it was getting away from. So that was pretty cool. The other thing I forgot to tell you guys, you might be interested, is I was doing a Medford radio interview. That looks cool, Mike. Got you on YouTube. You guys like Mike's legs? Anyway, Mike is not single. Sorry, ladies. He's married, happily married. Did a Medford radio interview about 16 years ago, and during the news break or commercial break, he and I were talking offline, and he told me that his brother-in-law owned a guide dog business, and they actually brought their guide dogs up here about a week later and started them off after the park closed, after the closing hours, got the scent, and then the dogs, quiet on the set, the hunting dogs started going up the hill after the scent trail and got up there and then turned around and came back down whimpering with their tail between their legs, because whatever they ran into up there, they were no longer interested in following. And I said, well, okay, we'll share that. When we come back online, share that so your listeners can hear it. And he said, are you kidding? That story would kill my brother's guide dog business, because they were award-winning guide dogs that went after cougar and black bear and everything else. So that happened like only a week or two after my family's sighting, and they started with the scent here. And then one last thing, John Roth, ranger for the Oregon Caves, looked around this whole area. 2 days after it happened, said something very large went through this area and then went down there on a trail and found a large Sasquatch track, and said that this is not a bear track, this is a Sasquatch track. And we're all standing around him, and he's squatting down looking at the track, and he looks up at us and he said, I need to let you know that the park has a policy where we won't disclose to the media about any presence of the Sasquatch within our park boundaries. And we're all going, what? You guys have a park policy where you're not going to discuss the presence of Bigfoot or Sasquatch in your park boundaries? You don't create a policy unless a bunch of people sit in a boardroom and talk about it. And you don't sit in a boardroom talking about creating a policy unless something happens to cause you to sit in a boardroom with other people to create a policy saying we are not going to acknowledge the existence or presence of the Bigfoot Sasquatch people in our park boundaries. So I thought that was interesting as well. Anyway, we're going to move on.